Welcome back to Balan Wonderworld.
Oh boy,
So,
time to see what else Naka has brought upon this cursed land, because, ladies and gentlemen, okay, as we've mentioned, the first half of the levels, while some can range from stupid to interesting, for the most part handled their chapters, I'm not even gonna say well, but, relatively fine.
Yeah,
compared to what's in the later half of this game.
Yeah, the second half is where this game starts really ticking it in the ass, really. Anyway, Chapter 7 is called The Former Champion Who's Stuck in the Past. Alright.
Look at that, Pedro. It's another one of those storybook levels. The one
I will
that
say,
bends around
also bagpipes, I think.
I will say that
Yes.
I do like. I will say that I do like the once again, Oshima's art direction is on point. I really like the idea of this twisty chess-like world that goes up and down and all around.
It's like a monkey ball stage, actually.
Yeah. I actually dig. Again, the visuals are one of the best things about this game. I really wish Oshima would actually be in like.
Oh god, this power up! I hate this one.
It is such a shame that Oshima has to be the head of Arzest because he's the only talented person in that studio. Like,
so Pedro, what is it about this particular level you like? Is it the bending?
Well, first of all, the music, because as always, the music is really good in this game. Second, like I said, I really like the ideas, the visual ideas specifically.
The way you talk about the way the level bends around you, like in World 1.
Don't get me wrong, the game doesn't really take advantage of the potential of these of Oshima's ideas once again, but it's the very least an interesting, a visually interesting level at least.
Yeah, you know, I mean, it's fine. Although I will admit, okay, I feel like the design element potential is sort of partial. In the sense, like, well, here it's cool, but if you look at the background, it's kind of a bit bland.
Well, it's just a generic blue sky, but yeah, sure.
It seems like it focuses more on the level within as well.
Sure.
But,
anyway, let me explain this outfit. This is the chess, I forgot the name, chess piece.
Quad cannon.
That's it, thank you. Quad cannon outfit. Basically, we're playing as a king chess piece that has 4 cannons, and every time you stop moving, it shoots 4 cannonballs. And that's
jump
basically...
is neutered. The jump is neutered with this one as well.
Well, to be fair... I will argue. Remember, the jump we're seeing right now, Joe, but that's its walk cycle actually. The actual jump is normal.
I'm talking about when you actually jump. No, I've tried it out. It feels like a slightly lower jump than with other costumes, and
I guess
that is a thing with some costumes where the jump is neutered.
Yeah, this is another thing. Starting with the second half of the game, the levels start having a lot more enemies, way more than than necessary.
This harkens back to that AI I mentioned and how it automatically tries to scale up enemy difficulty and the costume placement and such with each upcoming level here.
Basically, yeah.
How far into this are you now, Jola?
Hold on.
Got the game.
Sorry. Dwebs, could you tell us where... Okay, Dwebs, go to 4 minutes, please. Alright.
Yeah, anyway. So, level design-wise, this level is... a bit odd, per se. It's not bad, but I wouldn't call it one of the better levels. Now, don't get me wrong. Visually, it does certainly tell a story. The guy loves... Give me a moment,
Jova. Are you there, Dwebs? He's muted. Well, whatever. Sorry, everybody. Well, sorry, we literally just passed that. I didn't know if you were ready. Go to 4.
411.
Okay, hold on, and... click. Go ahead, Jova.
But yeah, I mean, this world certainly tells a story, although the speedy cheetah thing is a bit out of place world-wise.
Can I talk about how useless this outfit is, by the way? Okay.
Oh my god, you can run like an actual normal protagonist would run.
You can run fast. You can run fast. Here's the problem. That's literally the only thing it does. Second, there's not much use for this outfit because the levels don't really take advantage of this outfit in any meaningful way. Like, jumping while running with this outfit doesn't give you a longer jump. You'd think it would, but it doesn't.
I could argue there's an advantage.
Go ahead.
You get the level done faster.
That's the thing, Dwebs.
Like I said,
The level, that's the thing, Dwebs. In theory, yes. In practice, not so much. Because the levels aren't really made in a way where you can really take full advantage of the speed. Go ahead, Jova.
also, dudes, remember, it's not about how quickly you win the levels, it's also about how many trophies you get, because if you don't get enough trophies, you gotta go back to the levels and find the trophies to be able to progress through the game.
Well, I suppose one advantage in that case is that the cheater outfit could help you get to places you think you might have missed something a little faster.
Yeah, but that's the thing, Shiroi.
Aircat is much better to use than the cheetah.
Yeah, just go with Aircat. Aircat is better.
See, here's the problem. The physics don't always work in this game, which means sometimes when the game wants you to try and use the cheetah thing to get you over longer distances, it won't work, the game might glitch, and you will die an unfair death. That has happened to me enough times to know that it is relatively consistent.
As you can see, guys, it's always a good idea to bring at least one Aircat outfit with you for every level after this point, because
Aircat... Until we get to Chapter 8, because there's actually an even better version of the Aircat there.
Yeah, there is. I usually bring both.
True, yeah, because just one hit will remove one, but... Yeah, seriously though, look, the only reason to not bring about Aircat is if you're going up against a boss that, because in that case, if you're trying to get the trophy, you will probably want to get a specific one here. But yeah, can I just mention how the Speedy Cheetah thing doesn't even feel like it fits in with the theme of this level, at all? Most power-ups, they at least have something to do with the chapter we're from. But the Speedy Cheetah... I guess maybe it's a reference to Speed Chest, but I could think of much better references than that.
There you go, dude. I'm trying your theory, so let's see if it works.
I don't remember because...
Oh, sorry.
I don't remember because I've never tried it before, but can you actually boost into enemies with that, or what count as a hit if you run into them?
Nope, you cannot.
So what's even the point of that boost or a thing?
Because it looks cool, I guess.
So yeah, it just helps you run faster, and again, I'd argue you run about the regular speed of your normal protagonist in 3D.
Basically, it was
So basically, Jova, what you're saying is that Yuji Naka took inspiration from the Japanese version of Spyro 1. You go a lot slower than you're supposed to be, even if you're running faster.
There you go. See, hold on. See how useful it is to always bring Aircat. There you go.
Again, I mean, they're expecting you to use the cheetah, but why risk an unfair death when you can just use Aircat?
Exactly. Once you start figuring out the way this game can be broken, it becomes very easy to cheese your way through levels.
Now, mind you, you can still run into the issue where you can lose costumes with just one hit, so be careful, because if you do, you have to go about to one of the wardrobes, assuming that you stocked up on a particular costume.
Basically, do what I do. Only bring out the Aircat when it's necessary. Otherwise, just keep to the other outfits and just leave Aircat in there safe.
So here's the ironic...
And then sure, I had to sign something. Go ahead, Shira, go ahead.
It would probably be too similar to this outfit in a design sense, but if they wanted a speed themed outfit relating to chess, why not just use the horse? Because horses are fast.
Because
that's a good point.
And of course the former champion is also a giant, because everybody in this game is fucking huge for some reason.
Maybe we're just really small.
I feel like that worked the best in the.
That's the thing, Shiroi. That's the thing, Shiroi. Later on, at the end of the game,
we're smaller.
That's the thing, Shiroi. Later on, at the end of the game, all of the characters in the game are going to be in one big white room. So we do know that all the characters are normal size. This is just trippy visuals for the sake of trippy visuals, basically.
You know what? Yeah, you know what? I think now is as good a time for me to actually mention the general idea with the novel thing. Now that you pretty much have gotten the gist of how things go in the game, let's discuss how things are supposed to actually go based off of the story from the novel here. So essentially, the way the Balan Wonderworld Theater goes is, and yes, it's actually called Balan Wonderworld Theater, is the sense that it's essentially a place for you to go if a piece of your heart is missing.
Yeah, give me just a moment.
Say you go for a huge
flower. What is Flowy Flower? Basically, it's a rehash of the sheep gliding outfit. Yes, it has the exact same ability. It glides.
Yep, we're in that territory of the game now.
Gee, it's like going for 80 costumes was a bad idea or something. Go on, Jova.
So, the way the story of the novel goes is essentially like this. Each person is supposed to reside here to help them get better at their problems here. And the Balan of the world is supposed to be their guide of sorts, who helps them deal with their problems.
So basically it's kind of like Night. Kind of like Knight's kind of.
So, now, you may wonder, why do we need to rescue these people from their worlds that are meant to help them, though? Well, that is due to Lance here. You wouldn't be able to tell by just the game, but Lance is supposed to be a guy who's actually helping with them. But the guy has such a fondness of humans that, well, he wants to keep them around, which is against the rules. Now, mind you, there is more to his character, but I won't mention that yet because it's, believe it or not, would kind of spoil one of the twists that this game has coming.
This game has twists.
That's the thing, Shiro. Like Jove has been saying.
I think the game's turning out to be really, really bad within it from the twist.
Well, that's the thing, Shiro. Remember, like Jove has been saying, there's a shit ton of story from the novel that you're not seeing because there's a lot of because in the novel everybody has a full-blown backstory, full-blown motivations. All the story is in the novel, Shiro. If you want to know the context that as you put it very well a few parts ago, Shiro, we should not be assuming. Well, by the novel.
Yeah.
Again, remember. Sorry, go ahead.
And that's the thing. I shouldn't be having to read supplementary material to understand something. This is what. This is something Disney Star Wars would do.
The novel should have been packaged in the game.
I don't want to go into an.
Exactly. That is. Okay. Shiroi pretty much has said what I've been saying here. If that novel was really going to be the story we were getting, it should have been packaged in with the game. At the very least, for a full price $60 game.
Yeah, it would actually justify the price better. Actually, if they did that,
it would have.
I'm not gonna. Sorry.
Oh.
No. You finish.
From what I can garner, well, okay, going off of what you hear from the novel, you think, wow, this sounds like great potential for reading stuff. That's the thing. Reading the novel can feel like a chore in and of itself because it feels like a book that was geared, well, more towards the script and pacing of a video game. Like, you know how stories in video game often work here. You have your gameplay segments, so obviously there won't be as much story going through that.
Yeah, you'll also notice that I brought Aero Acrobat outfit because, like I said, thanks to the homing attack, he's the more useful one for dealing with enemies.
Yeah. They definitely fixed it so that it works better than it did in the demo. Because, in the demo, that homing attack was terrible. But, yeah, seriously, though. Okay, so, novel-wise, the reason that we have to save people from these worlds is that Lance has sort of, unfortunately, led these people astray, making them more to reside in their ideal worlds here and there. Like, believe it or not, technically what we're seeing are supposedly them in their ideal environments. Which is not explained well in the game, because as far as we know, it's just a world being represented by their feelings, their life, and whatnot.
You know what's interesting as well, Dwebs, about what you said about the whole reading supplementary thing? The interesting thing is that this is an unintentional throwback to Dark Age Square Enix, because Final Fantasy XIV-2 is the same thing. Final Fantasy XIV-2, do you want to know why Snow is now Lucia again for some reason? Well, you have to read a Japanese novel.
Don't even get me started on the bridging between 13-2 and Lightning Returns. That one's apparently supplementary material nightmare from what you've told me.
It's just like, again, it's like I've joked various times.
And look at that, Pedro. This is another game being published by Square.
It's like I've joked various times in these playthroughs. Remember when the stories of the games were put in the actual games themselves? Yeah, I miss those days.
They should have just released the book on its own.
Well, they did release the book
without the game.
Oh. Yeah, honestly, that might have been better. Also, that guy didn't disappear when you got close to him for once.
Probably a glitch.
Inconsistent programming? Probably a glitch.
Remember, there's actually a story reason in the novel for why that happened, so we know it's supposed not to happen. So...
And again, that's the thing, though. Even knowing story-wise that that's the reason, it's not conveyed well enough in the game for it to really be that keen.
I'm really glad.
You absolutely need them to move so that you can see where you're going at times, but still, what a weird design philosophy.
I'm really glad Ryo Yamazuki, at the very least, is now I will argue at the very least a more interesting Square Enix project now with Stranger of Paradise Final Fantasy Origin, because...
Are you referring to the guy who wrote the novel?
No, the composer of this game.
Oh, that. Yeah.
He's a Square Enix composer, and I actually really dig his work. Both here, again, like I said, like Nenshiro have said, quite a departure to go from this whimsical soundtrack to the music we hear in Stranger of Paradise. Well, it shows how versatile he is. So there's that.
So Pedro, are you willing to wait until 770?
I'm sorry, Java, could you repeat?
Are you willing to wait until 770 Tims have spun the wheel?
Yeah, how about no?
And again, believe it or not, the number you need to wait to goes into the thousands and beyond.
You have to understand that, everybody, this game is boring. It's so boring. It's not even like... I'm not even like angry. I'm just bored. This game bores me to tears because nothing is interesting in it aside from the visuals, the music, and
everything that went wrong.
Yeah, we can go with that. You were saying something, Shuri?
Well, yeah, I mean, go on, Shuri.
Yeah, what we need at the end of this LP, much like with Mighty Number 9, instead of 3 to 4 hours of credits, we need 3 to 4 hours of the Tim spinning the wheel. And we'll talk over that.
Don't worry, Shiroi. I will never have the heart to make you sit through that. Don't worry.
Really? Wow.
Mostly because I myself refuse to sit through that. Let alone make other people sit through my footage of that.
It's not happening because you won't do it. Right?
No. Like I said, Shiroi, our extra raw will have some footage that I will also credit the people who use the footage, just so we can at the very least see what happens. Because
in that case, the extra part should be Jova narrating the novel.
You know what?
Maybe
the only problem is that I
like how you're actually contemplating.
I'll see. How about this? How about this? In between parts, I'll see if I can find a PDF of the novel. Maybe someone has scanned it.
Yeah, totally.
Because because the novel is apparently much better than the actual game. So
yeah. And sadly, that doesn't mean the novel itself is good, because here's the thing. It's a novel that, from what people have told me and from what I've been able to gather, reads, again, more like the script for the game. Not necessarily given in script form, but with the format and pacing of it, feels like it would have been better if it was actually
there you go, Shiroi. There you go, Shiroi. This is why we couldn't have a chess horse outfit, because the chess horses are... causing shockwaves that you need to avoid.
Okay.
Oh no.
Okay, so basically the game... Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It's not as bad as reading Cursed Child then, Jova.
Well, yeah, true. Cursed Child, Jesus Christ, it's in this, but...
Isn't Cursed Child more like reading the inane ramblings of an insane woman?
No, but the book edition of Cursed Child is written like a script, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
That's because it was a script.
It's literally... Even though you think...
And Warner Bros. looked at it and thought, yeah, JK, we're just not gonna greenlight this one if you don't mind.
Like, seriously though, like, apparently since Cursed Child is apparently canon, why didn't she adapt it into a book, for Christ's sake?
Because she's too busy. Because she's too busy on a weekly basis saying to herself, what characters can I retroactively make gay next time?
Pedro.
While at the same time pissing off the entire LGBT community with terrible things.
Hey Pedro, you want to hear her?
That's the thing. That the other half of the time, she's probably wondering, how can I upset trans people this week?
It's like she milks us and then she abuses us. It's great.
Okay, yeah. Thank you, Pedro. That's a good way of showing off how terrible the depth perception in this game can be. And now again, with the level design, you can get tricked into stupid deaths like that.
I noticed that Pedro has been like looking around a lot more in these levels to see if he can actually go down or not.
Normally, it's two things, Shiroi. One, first of all, I was gonna say something, but Joba just took the words out of my mouth. Second, that's because, Shiroi, remember, we need a set number of Balan statues to move to the next portions of the game. So I do need to explore and find statues. I can't just blow up.
Again, if you don't find enough, you're gonna have to go back to the levels and playing these levels.
Again, to be fair,
it's not really fun.
Well, yeah. To be fair, yeah, that's just typical collectathon 3D platformer logic ever since Mario 64. Again, the problem with this is that this game is not fun. Mario 64 and Banjo-Kazooie are fun, so people don't mind going back to previous levels and get more jiggies or more stars or whatever 3D platformer insert here you're playing. It's the same thing. It's the same reason why when people complain about, and we've talked about this in our Lightning Returns run, it's the same reason why when people complain about a game, a JRPG having fetch quests, they're missing the point. Technically, every quest in a JRPG boils down to that. What the key is in making the game fun and engaging. If you do that, then everything falls into place, and people are willing to go and fetch stuff.
Not only that, but it's a good way to also masquerade the fact that they're essentially glorified fetch quests.
Because literally every RPG, when you boil it down to its more raw aspects, JRPGs literally are basically just that. Same thing with platformers. Platformers, when you get right down to it, it's just, in the case of...
get the things.
Exactly.
Jump on top of this platform here and there.
Oh, God. Now, okay, if someone tried to make like a parody JRPG where they basically parody the tropes, you could probably make the most inappropriate things into fetch quests. Like, could you imagine if everything in Final Fantasy VII was that? Here's the fetch quest: fetch Aerith's corpse.
Well, normally. Well, I don't think they do that. I don't think they do that fetch quest thing that you just said is, but that's what Nantunia is. It's a parody of the JRPG genre.
I wouldn't. Well, I mean, from what I've played of one of the games, I don't think. From what I've played so far, I don't think the way they do it is particularly.
Sure. But here's the thing. Well, Dwebs, I can tell you one that does it well. In Ni no Kuni 1, where the King Tom has lost his fish, and as a result, you can't just see the king yet. You have to first get his lost fish, and his lost fish is a red herring. Get it?
Okay. Can I just talk about this? These colors do not blend well for people who may be a bit annoyed with their eyesight here.
Yeah, Shira has mentioned this before. Japanese developers are way behind in terms of accessibility stuff.
Yeah, speaking of which, that final boss before the patch, and even still can occasionally do it, apparently, if your game glitches enough.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I personally don't suffer from seizures, but it would hurt if I went into that, without knowing it was going to happen.
Be glad that I'm playing this game fully patched. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
And again,
well, this thing got patched immediately.
That's the thing, though. If, say, your console was not hooked up to the internet, you may still run into it.
That's not really going to affect many people.
But it's still going to affect more than one person, and that's way too much.
That's the thing, Dwebs. You'd be surprised how many people still like living in the country and just like playing offline. Entirely.
Yeah, like loads of people do. Dwebs, there's a reason the Xbox One, and I do mean the original Xbox One, did not take off. There are definitely enough people who don't have as great an internet as people like us do to pretty much throw up a good bit about it.
There's also a difference in countries. Let me put it this way, Dwebs. When you say that, your comment mostly applies to the US, UK, and some European countries. However, the other half of European countries are not quite as big on internet as the rest of the world.
Yeah, look. And that's gonna be the problem with this game. Again, I'm just gonna say it right now, the fact that they put it like that. And look, I'm not even someone who suffers seizures, and even I had a bit uncomfortable looking at that. It was that bad. No, you should have known better from the get-go.
That's why the Xbox One, to follow up on what Jova said, was a terrible idea to begin with, because that console was clearly just made with the US market in mind. Because there's no way. I still maintain that that there's no way you guys were going to be able to make deals with every single TV network in every single country. That's not going to happen. That's a pipe dream.
I swear, part of me, the sick part of me does wonder, what would it have been like if Microsoft actually did just stick with that design? Like, you have to wonder, would the backlash have been big enough to put them out of business? Because they clearly were afraid of it enough to backtrack on it. Like, it's
that simple, Jove. If they had stuck with Don Metric's vision, the Xbox brand would have been dead by this point.
Probably. So, anyway, okay, but yeah, like I said, unfortunately, oh god, pop out there. But yeah, unfortunately, for as cool as this level can look, some things unfortunately blend in with some stuff due to the lighting and the brightness and Jesus
yeah, like this
Christ.
right now.
Ugh. It's not quite like looking into the sun, but jeez. That being said, do you like the music here? But here's the ironic thing. Like I said, this level does actually give you a good idea of what kind of character you're dealing with.
Tackling Bull.
Tackling Bull.
He does exactly what the name implies. He tackles things.
I guess because, like in chess, your pieces tackle.
And there you go, and that's how you break the black blocks that you've been seeing throughout this chapter.
Unfortunately, you can't jump with him.
Nope, because God forbid we use more than one button.
Again, trust me, it feels cumbersome having to so much as just switch to a costume just to be able to jump at times. Ugh.
Again, it shows that Naka is incredibly out of touch with how kid gamers are nowadays. We're not in the 90s anymore, Mr. Naka. Kids overall, access to knowledge has increased tenfold since the 90s, thanks to the internet.
And I also and again, let me point out the big irony. By trying to make this uber simple, in some ways he's made it more complex here. Like, I don't mean complex in the sense like, oh, it's difficult to figure out, but no, you have to go through more steps just to do something as simple as jump, because some costumes can't jump due to how overly simple this game is. It's kind of an amazing idiom, isn't it?
Yep.
By making something so simple, you have made certain actions more complicated to do.
It becomes apparently clear at this point that, you know, again, it's like I said, like it makes little to no sense. It's one of the many things this game has in common with Mighty Number 9. The whole, the father of Sonic thing. No, Yuji Naka is not the father of Sonic. Like, Yuji Naka was a joint effort between three men. Yuji Naka, Hirokazu Yasuhara, and Naoto Oshima. Naoto Oshima did the art, Yuji Naka did the programming, but the one that actually did the actual game and level design was Hirokazu Yasuhara. In my opinion, the true genius behind the classic Sonic games.
Later on, Takushi Iizuka would join on to that.
In free. And remember, he was still working under Yasuhara. He was Yasuhara's second in command. So Yasuhara was still the man in charge. And here's another Balan bout, because, hey, guess what, guys? It's the same shtick all over again. We're just
is this one of the ones where they start to actually, you know, make them longer?
Kind of, yes.
You know, for these levels, all you have to do is just copy and paste our exact same raw audio commentary for the first time we did this and put it over, and then
basically, yeah.
Really...
But not entirely, because again, like I mentioned, oh, sorry, Pedro, you only got a grade. Might as well just give up now.
Oh my god, it's a good thing I don't care. But anyway,
that's the thing. Remember, if you want to get more trophies to complete the game properly, you gotta get all excellence on these things.
Fortunate I didn't go for 100%, because you guys are insane if I would go for 100% with this game. But anyway, but don't you see, guys? Once again, I am here destroying things that you don't know what they are, and therefore you have no idea of knowing what exactly is useful that I'm destroying these things. I
think the novel does sort of exemplify that this is him breaking down the gates or whatnot to each realm, but it's not mentioned in the game, so why even bother?
It's mostly because it comes out of nowhere. It has little to no context. It's just here because bonus level. And yes, I get it. There are plenty of games in the 90s that did this, but the problem is that it's such a huge departure from the rest of the game that and like I said, we're not in the 90s anymore. Provide some basic context. I mean, games have evolved.
We can gather ourselves.
Games have evolved since those days where everything is abstract and, you know, no needing an explanation. Like, we've evolved past that.
Pedro, you want to know what else games had back in the 90s? Stories in the manuals. Oh, sure, they weren't perfect, mind you, but at least I'd argue that the manuals back in the 90s gave us more story than what we have with this game, because there is no manual package with the game.
In terms of that era of games with story, I got more story in game from Hong Kong 97 than I did with this.
How sad is that?
And that had a story where you have to play as Bruce Lee's relative, who somehow looks like Jackie Chan, and have to fight Tong Xiaoping, who's been turned into an ultimate weapon.
Yeah, as you can see, the quad cannon basically makes this boss a joke.
If you know how to use it well. Again, the quad cannon can be so cumbersome to use. But whatever, the level is just about over, which means now we can get down to business.
Alright, so I hope you guys are ready, because this is probably my favorite of the storylines, just because of how hilariously misguided the ending is.
Sure. And
also, again, the opening. But you'll know what I mean when we get to it.
No, it's more so the fact that this particular, quote-unquote, mental problem is quite unimpressive. You're about to see.
You'll see. Here we go.
So let's check what the former champion is all about.
Let me tell you a story of a chess master.
Well, apparently not, Jova, considering what we see in the ending.
He won duel after duel.
There you go. He was a big champion.
Until one day,
he won the Premier League title. How did he do that?
Wow, that was literally like in the Pokemon first movie. Hey, I'm looking for the trainer from Pallet Town. Are you there? Like seriously, it looked like.
And then the unthinkable happened.
He lost.
He lost one game.
He lost one game, and because of that, his mental health crumbles. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay, I am sorry if that's what all it took. Then this guy was already incredibly emotionally unstable way before this even happened.
Is this guy the chess equivalent of I can't think of a good example.
Oh, actually, I just did this. Jova. This is literally the chess equivalent of Kaiba. Remember the first episode? Well, a bit like the Duelist Kingdom. Basically, Shiroi in the first Yu-Gi-Oh season, Kaiba, aka the anti-hero of that series.
Oh, yes, game. I played Mario Odyssey. Thank you.
Yes, I have. I wish I was playing that right now.
I played Splatoon.
We all played
this bit from Splatoon as well, Shiroi. Nice.
We all played something, but anyway, where was it? Yeah. Basically, Shiroi, I'm not even kidding you. In the first episode of Yu-Gi-Oh, Yugi beats the reigning champion Seto Kaiba at one game. It's not even a championship game. It's not like he lost his title or anything. It was just a random friendly match, and yet he literally goes into an existential crisis because of this. So basically, yeah, this is basically the chess master equivalent of Kaiba.
I mean, here's the difference, though. Here's the difference. The anime recognized that Kaiba was a bad guy. We're supposed to sympathize with this guy.
Yes, sure.
With his problems.
And
yes.
Also, you know those trophies in the background of that guy when it showed his successes. The ones right at the back look like the English Premier League football trophies.
Maybe he's a British chess player. Yes, Shiroi?
I'll ask you for your input from the novel in a moment, Jova, but basically, maybe he was already depressed and chess was the only thing he had going good for him in his life, so actually losing at one point genuinely broke him?
Okay.
Jova, does the novel explain anything?
As Pedro mentioned, the novel does give actually full backstories to these characters here. It's implied in the novel that he has a lot of pressure going on him as a chess master, so a loss, as you can imagine, could potentially ruin his career and bring him down. That being said, it's in the novel that it's mentioned. As far as we know in the game, he's just a sore loser.
Yep.
So you have to read the novel in order to even remotely sympathize with this
okay. In that case,
sure. Wait. Sure, gameplay-wise, which is worse? A farmer losing all of his crops and possibly all of his livestock? A woman nearly being killed by her dolphin friend? A girl losing her potential cat pet friend? A woman having to see the bulldozing of birds' homes? Or a guy who lost in chess?
Depends. He is a chess champion and regularly competes, and there's probably prize money involved. Is chess how he makes his living?
I would not know, but going off of how his problems are resolved, I don't think the writers knew either.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, then I got nothing.
Okay, so basically, Jova, okay, I was going to ask you, but I guess you just answered it for me. But basically, Jova, so what you're saying is that the novel doesn't really explain that there's a higher context for this stupid ending we're about to get. Is that what you're saying?
Not from what I recall.
Why? What's the ending? Does he decide?
You're literally about to see it, Dwibs. So hold on.
I'll predict it. He decides. You know what? Chess is clearly corrupt to my mind. I'm gonna go play golf.
Dwibs, that would have been a much better conclusion than the one the writers came up with. Oh yeah, that's right. But first, we're gonna dance off because it's charming, I guess.
Is it?
The game thinks it is, Dwibs. So we're gonna.
Shall we dance? Seriously, it's creepy how they always say they're about to romantically dance.
Yeah, that's the first kind of sign.
No way! How are we doing any of this? What the hell is going on?
Well, Trevor, this is a dream and a wonder world.
Actually, no, Dwibs. It's not a dream. This is legit a Wonderworld theater.
Whatever. It's a fantasy world. It's a fantasy game, Jova. Just roll with it. But anyway.
For all these songs and dances is because yes, it's supposed to be treated like a theater and all that.
But yeah, like Jova said, yeah, that scene where they're walking towards each other and the guy's even like it just screams, "Hey, little boy, boy, I've got a treat for you."
It's funny given how the ending cutscene goes as well.
Yeah. All right, prepare yourself for this ending because this ending is something else.
And so
how does he overcome
deal with his loss?
So how does he overcome his one loss, as far as the game tells us?
Oh God, no! Please, I was kidding about the love interest with the kid thing, but no. Apparently, he'll play. Now he gets to beat kids at chess because that's totally the same thing.
No, I think he's like trying to teach, maybe.
My question: what the hell does this?
That's not a victory. He's letting the kid cheat.
There you go. So there you go.
Exactly does this solve?
So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, and by the way, my work here is done again.
You did jack squats
again. But anyway, so
get nothing.
So let me get this straight, Naka-san. Obviously, so now that the quote-unquote happy ending, I guess, is that this guy now is going to spend the rest of his life taking advantage of the fact that children are young and therefore know nothing and know very little about chess, and he's going to keep beating them to make himself feel better. Great job.
He's teaching them, and and therefore inspiring them and himself again.
You say that, Shiroi, but I don't see anything in the game that implies that he's quote-unquote teaching them. He's just playing games with them.
But he tapped the chess piece the kid was supposed to move, so the kid wouldn't notice that he was doing that.
Here's my question.
Like that was in the cutscene. Yeah.
Okay. So here's the thing. Even if that is the case, what does this have to do with him losing the whole chess thing? Like, what does this have to do with anything?
Okay.
How does this make him feel better? There was nothing implying
to follow upon
he was feeling like he was being worn out or something. Again, he lost just one game.
Okay,
No, what
it's two
would matter
things.
is if we saw him lose a series of chess games, but no, he just lost one chess game, was a sore loser about it, and became psychotic in the Balan Wonderworld theater for it.
Okay, it's two things. One, to follow up on what Shiroi said. Okay, maybe if I'm going to give this thing the highest benefit of the doubt, the idea maybe is that now he's found a new alternative way of enjoying his favorite game by teaching it to the next generation. So I'm guessing that's what
what I'm going for.
That's what the okay. Okay, I can grant that. But at the same time, couldn't the game give me a bit more context? Why can't we have dialogue for like seriously? There's nothing, you know, Naka. There's nothing wrong with dialogue in video games. You can have dialogue.
And it's like I said, it feels disconnected from the opening cutscene because, again, the problem was just that he lost that one game. It wasn't like he felt like he was getting burnt out from the game, so suddenly we're supposed to be happy and cheer for what was essentially a sore loser because now he's teaching kids how to play chess.
Here's my overall argument.
Whether or not that has any bearing on his career as a chess player.
Here's my comeback, Shiroi. The fact that that I have to look out for that one specific detail about him pointing the chess piece to get the full idea probably tells me that they should have been a bit more clear about the context. I feel like the entire execution, because if you miss that detail like I did, as I just demonstrated, you can horribly misinterpret that scene.
What do you think, Dwibs?
It's well, I mean, it was a scene that happened, and it wasn't very honestly, it wasn't even as epically stupid as Pedro said it would be. It was just kind of dull.
Also, very quick before we finish this, Jova, the cutscene that we just saw actually did answer my earlier question of whether he makes money from chess. Unless he got a new job in the meantime, apparently not, because he's not going to make any money off children.
So basically, he's going to keep.
So he's just a.
Maybe.
Sorry, go ahead, Pedro. Go ahead.
Maybe he's retired, even though he's like 40.
I don't know. The game look, that's the thing. All of our interpretations are so different because the story can't be arsed to, you know, give a proper explanation here and there. When it feels like I should get a story writer's credit, we've gone off the deep end here.
Yeah,
we're trying our best here.
But that's the thing, Shiroi. It's not us that have to try our best. It's the developers. we're not the developers, Shiroi.
I just can't believe that they got away with a story this vague.
Okay, see here. Okay, not to mention another argument for my case, Shiroi. Another thing about this game is that, okay, let me ask you something. Why are all the cutscenes involving Balan citizens, you know, the farmer, the girl, the chess champion, all these people? Why are all the cutscenes regarding these people silent, whereas the opening cutscene with Balan has dialogue and the ending will also have dialogue? Why can't it shows a clash of style? So why is it that some scenes have dialogue but others don't? Like, Knight's fully committed to a silent, visual-driven narrative. This game, on the other hand, has some cutscenes with dialogue in them, other cutscenes with not. And hell, even the cutscenes with dialogue in them are hampered by the fact that it's fucking Balinese. Yes, we do.
Balinese.
Well,
yeah, you literally need subtitles to understand them because it's not like it's Japanese or something. No, it's literally a made-up language that they're speaking in.
And believe it or not, Shiroi, when it comes to a game being this game being incomprehensible, we haven't even got to the worst part, because the ending cutscene, as Jova knows, literally is the pinnacle of incomprehension.
Yes. Oh god.
And for remind me again, Jova, there is no subtitled version of the ending cutscene, is there?
Nope, because they didn't put subtitles in it in the actual game.
What?
Apparently, sure, somebody screwed up, and the final cutscene does not have subtitles for the Balinese.
And for the record, Shiroi, that entire cutscene is just Balan speaking. You can probably guess what the problem is right now, right?
Oh boy!
The
subtitles were shit anyway.
Oh, hold on, Shiroi. I just thought of something.
So it's like that Judy Dench scene in Cats, except it's a made-up language.
I just thought of something, Shiroi. Look at it this way, Shiroi. In that final scene, because you've said that the subtitles in this game are crap. Well, guess what, Shiroi? Now me, Jova, and Dez will now be able to fully be right there with you and incomprehend the scene just exactly as you are. So there you go, Shiva. You will not be alone. We all will be confused to how I have.
Thank you all for suffering along with me.
Well, it's not like the game. Well,
incomprehensible story.
It's not like the game.
What did you ask for?
Well, Shiva, it's not like the game gave us any choice. So.
Well, okay. You know what? You know what? I do have some good news though. Coming up next is actually what some people consider to be the best level in the entire game, both level-wise, power-ups-wise, and story-wise.
Yeah, it's
the
fine.
Ice level.
Yeah, okay.
Or
yeah,
wow, the ice level's the best level in this game.
It's the one that has the, at the very least, it's the most thought out one at the very least. All right, see you then.